recording, and welcome to FTB Fridays. This is for Friday, March the 19th, 2021. I am, of course, your host, Jason C. McLean. Today we have do something a little different. We have two guests. We have Niki Ashton, an NDP member of Parliament, and we have Niall Ricardo from Independent Jewish Voices. Now, like I said, we're recording this actually on Tuesday the 16th, but when you see this on Friday the 19th, tomorrow will be Saturday, and tomorrow will be when Niki Ashton will be hosting a talk with, I'd say, former British Labour leader, but really just a household name, Jeremy Corbyn. I think we all know who he is, right? They chanted his name at Glastonbury. So first of all, thank you both for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jason.
Thank you. Now, Niki, how did this talk come about?
Sure. Well, it's really the talk's all about Progressive International, which is a relatively new organization whose goal is to bring progressives together from around the world, people that believe in a transformative vision of our world, one that is committed to social, environmental, and economic justice. I've been asked to be one of the Canadian council members. We launched in December of 2018 in Vermont. Actually, it was Bernie Sanders and the Sanders Institute that first hosted the launch for PI. And there's some incredible people involved. As I mentioned, Bernie Sanders, Jeremy Corbyn, Yanis Varoufakis, Naomi Klein, Cornel West, from around the world, Fernando Haddad, Ada Colau, incredible people that are pushing for change in their communities, but also see the need to build solidarity across borders in order to bring about social change.
Okay. And what are you specifically going to be talking about on Saturday?
Well, I mean, stay tuned. We'll see. Right. But look, I mean, obviously it is very exciting to have this opportunity to hear directly from Jeremy Corbyn, household name Jeremy Corbyn, as you pointed out, right? And to hear, his advice, his guidance, his wisdom, his thoughts on where we're at, not just where we ought to be going as the left, as activists, as movement builders, but also at this particular time, this time of crisis, right? The COVID-19 crisis that has proven the extent to which neoliberalism isn't just dangerous, but deadly, right? The most vulnerable people in our society have paid for, neoliberalism and its agendas of privatization and austerity and job-killing trade deals. They've paid for this with their lives, right? So we need to come out of this crisis with a bold, alternative vision for what our world can look like, right? And I think that's really key in this. We have an opportunity to discuss that with Jeremy Corbyn, and we also obviously want to highlight some of the struggles that are perhaps in a way unique to Canada as well. We're going to be talking about the struggle around Indigenous justice and decolonization. We're going to be talking about other issues that relate to his work, whether it's nationalization, whether it's the Green New Deal, whether it's, of course, international solidarity and solidarity with oppressed peoples, including the Palestinian people, right? So we're and a number of activists are also going to be involved as well, as throughout this 2-hour Zoom. But look, I also want to say this is only the beginning. This is the first Canadian-based event for Progressive International. We're keen to do so much more, including solidarity work across the Americas. So I really hope people will sign up, tune in. This is only the beginning.
Yeah, and I'm sure a lot of people are signing up and are very happy about it. But of course, there has been a bit of criticism from the right, as one might expect, but also from the Broadbent Institute. I believe Mr. Rick Smith at the Broadbent Institute was critical of you giving Corbyn a voice here. In particular, claiming Corbyn is accusing Corbyn of anti-Semitism.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Well, I mean, we obviously knew that the event was not going to, the National Post was not going to support the event, right? We knew that certain lobbies would not be supporting the event, right? But in fact, the moment that it went live, right, that we put it in the public domain, sure enough, there was criticism. But what was disappointing and frankly concerning was the extent to which so-called progressives use the exact same conservative talking points to attack Jeremy Corbyn, to delegitimize the event, and essentially try and demonize those who stand in solidarity with the Palestinian peoples. Because let's not make any, let's be clear, the reason why Jeremy Corbyn was attacked was because of of his solidarity with the Palestinian peoples as part of a broader vision that challenges the most powerful in our society, right, in his own country, right? And so he was attacked for that reason. Those we saw the the right use those attacks here in our own country when we announced the event, but shamefully we also saw so-called progressives with platforms do the same thing, and the result of I believe the intended result, right, and as we saw the same played out in the UK, is to demonize the left, is to demonize people that do fight for Palestinian solidarity and for the liberation of oppressed peoples. It is an effort to silence and send a chill effect, right?
Yeah.
What we saw in the minutes, hours after those statements were made by so-called progressives was a huge uproar, I guess, online in particular. But I know people went beyond that as well to say this is not acceptable, right? And this is not acceptable to use the arguments of the right to demonize the left, and frankly to at a time when so many of these ideas are gaining so much strength, to say, and to those affiliated to political parties, et cetera, like the NDP, it's not okay for them, for these ideas and these voices to be shut down and demonized. I was buoyed by the incredible support. I've received many messages of support directly. I've seen obviously a lot of messages online, and and I don't think I think this may have backfired, I guess, to a certain extent. And look, this event, it's a proactive, positive, energizing event about building solidarity. And that's the direction that we need to be going into. And clearly so many people across our country agree with that.
Yeah, I know, Niall, with Independent Jewish Voices, are you, I guess, is that one of the groups that definitely is in solidarity with this event?
Absolutely. I mean, I think just to point to what Niki was saying, it's interesting, right? And I mean, there's just 3 points that I would like to make quickly from a Jewish perspective, because I am representing Independent Jewish Voices today. Is that first and foremost, when we talk about this report that supposedly condemns labor and all of the, investigation that went into anti-Semitism and labor, one of the interesting things is that obviously, and I don't know if people know this, but there was no such investigation that was launched into the Conservative Party of the UK, right? And that's interesting, right? Because this kind of campaign to legitimize Corbyn and to legitimize the left, etc., demonize the left, is a campaign also to kind of say that anti-Semitism on the left and anti-Semitism on the right are equivalent, and there's as much anti-Semitism on the left as there is on the right, which is not true. Obviously, I mean, if you look historically, the main movements, the extreme right-wing movements that always wanted to exclude Jews, are the most prevalent within right-wing circles. But beyond that, it's this anti-Semitism and real deep anti-Semitism is prevalent within the Conservative Party here in Canada, but also the Conservative Party in the UK. And one of the interesting things is that one of the MPs in the Conservative Party of the UK that is the closest to the current Prime Minister made anti-Semitic comments and is still within cabinet to this day in the Conservative Party of the UK. So when we're talking about Jeremy Corbyn and how he didn't act on anti-Semitism, I mean, it's kind of rich to see that these same people had nothing to say about, Boris Johnson not launching, an investigation into this MP, right? And this MP, his name is Jacob Rees-Mogg, and he is literally number 3. We could consider him number 3 or number 4 of the current government in the UK, who launched an attack against members of his own party, Jewish members, calling them Illuminatis, right? Something that Jeremy Corbyn never ever did, within his own ranks, et cetera, et cetera. And I mean, when we talk about Jeremy Corbyn, it's important to remember who is Jeremy Corbyn. Jeremy Corbyn is somebody who has fought for justice for 30 years, right? Beyond his career, beyond 30 years, right? He has fought for justice. He fought against apartheid in South Africa when it wasn't popular, right? And I believe he's standing in solidarity with the Palestinians on that same basis, right? So it's interesting also to see, and this is kind of where I want to bring it back to Canada, CIJA and other Jewish organizations, so-called, representatives of the Jewish community, the organizations that are supposedly represent all Jews, in Canada, criticized this event. Especially given that they invited another Niki, not our beloved Niki Ashton here, but another Nikki Haley, to come to Montreal. She was the ambassador, Trump's ambassador to the United Nations, right? And they invited her to come to Montreal to receive an award as, friend of the Jewish community, right? So we, rolled out the red carpet for her, everybody was there at this event, etc. Nikki Haley was in the Trump administration when Trump was tweeting about globalists, when Trump was taking, George Soros as target. We all know that those are super big anti-Semitic tropes. But beyond that, when Trump said that there were good people on both sides, referring to neo-Nazis that marched in the United States, saying chanting, Jews will not replace us. So, I mean, I'm sorry to give a little bit of a pushback there to CIJA. I mean, they're used to it coming from me. But the fact is that who are they to talk about anti-Semitism? And this is what's interesting, and I'll finish, this kind of first intervention on that. Anti-Semitism is fine as long as you support Israel, right? So Trump is fine, his anti-Semitism is fine. I think it would be hard to find somebody, a US president, more anti-Semitic than Donald Trump. And that created the kind of, environment of anti-Semitism that cost the lives of 11 people, of 11 Jews in Pittsburgh at the Synagogue Tree of Life. So, I mean, when we're talking about anti-Semitism, we have to take that into account. And I think, just to finish on this, it's interesting to see that as long as Netanyahu agrees to meet you, then you're not anti-Semitic in the books of, the Israeli lobby or in the books of these so-called representatives of the Jewish community. Yeah.
Well, it's sort of, I guess, redefining terms. I mean, yeah, but it's, I guess, getting back to the actual event itself. Niki, how can people take part in this event?
Absolutely. So we're asking people to sign up first. It's an Eventbrite page, and we're asking people to pay as you can. So we're asking for any money, $1, $5, a suggested donation of $25 if people can, and of course even more if they can there as well. All of that money goes to Progressive International and building the organization globally. So it goes towards a good cause, and then we will be sending the link to everybody who's signed up. So especially given that this is coming out on Friday, we're certainly encouraging folks to sign up as soon as possible so that we can get the link to people and they can tune in for 1 p.m. Eastern.
1 p.m. Eastern, that's 12, 11, 10 a.m. for those of you on the West Coast.
Yes.
Yeah. So
and then, and the web link is all on all of our social media platforms, Niki Ashton, Twitter, Facebook. We've also sent it out by email, but knowing how much interest this has generated, I'm sure a cursory Google search will point you in the right direction. But for sure, check out our Twitter and Facebook.
I'll do you one better. How about we put the actual link in the description of this video?
Absolutely. That is one better. Thank you very much, Jason. That makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, I help as much as I can. And obviously, yeah, so Niki Ashton, Niall, people can follow you on Twitter, I believe. Well, first of all, is there a link for Independent Jewish Voices?
Yeah, so I mean, on Independent Jewish Voices, we've got a pretty active chapter here in Montreal. So all of, the progressive-minded Jews out there that want to stand in solidarity with a Palestinian cause, but not just, with regards to Palestine, but anti-racism here in Quebec, defending, our communities against, the uproar of kind of, racist and anti-Semitic violence that exists here in Quebec. Well, you can join Independent Jewish Voices. We'll be more than happy to welcome you. So we have Voix Juive Indépendante Montréal on Facebook, and you guys can follow me at Niall C. Ricardo on Twitter.
Perfect. And you can follow me on Twitter at Jason C. McLean. You can also give this video a like and a share and subscribe to us on YouTube, but like it and share it and follow us on Facebook. And of course, you can also download our Android app. The iOS one's coming soon. And of course, for daily content, follow forgetthebox.net. We'll catch you next week for another FTB Friday.